Is Timmy prepared to do a recap, or should we just crack on?
Okay, I can do a quick recap before we move on to the next class.
Okay, please do.
All right, good. So we started last week with getting to understand. Okay, I think we started with design sprints and why we needed to use design sprints in solving a particular problem, especially when we're trying to launch a product or we're trying to develop a new feature for a particular product. And then if you remember, I said a sprint is just a time-bound process that contains five major phases. All right. So, and the phases each phase is going to take a day, 8 hours per day to complete. Then we move on to understanding more about UX research. We talk extensively about UX research. And if you remember, we talk about the 4 major steps in a UX research study, where we talk about planning, research, synthesize, and share. All right. And we said planning is where you outline the problem that you want to answer. All right. Then from research, that is where you bring out possible solutions to the problem. Then the synthesize phase is when you analyze during the research process, you will have quantity of so many options, like solutions that it's more of quantity than quality at that time. So, but when you get into synthesize, that's when you now sort out which one is going to fit in perfectly for what you want to do, which solution, which feature, which particular approach is going to work perfectly for what you want to do. Then we also talk about sharing your insight with other people so that they can give their perspective in their different professional field as to how the thing is going. And also, I remember we talk about research landscapes, whereby you use surveys, you use questionnaires, you use analytics, you use A/B testing for getting research reports or research details or information from people out there. Of course, they can do it in form of quantitative research, whereby you make people to talk and use the products as well. All right. So, and then finally, I think we talk about different terminologies in UX research. We talk about persona, which is more about having a representation of what your audience is, have a look-alike picture of what your audience is or who your audience is, so that you can know what is best fit for them. We'll talk about prototype. I was able to show us an example of a prototype on the screen. Then I was able to also explain pain points, which is basically the area where users are experiencing frictions, all right, where they are having blockage, a barrier, and using a particular product. Then we talk about A/B testing as well. We talk about mood boards. We talk about user journey, and we talk also about usability tests. So those are the basic things we really talked about last week. So that's and then I gave an assignment. We couldn't drop the assignment immediately, but I later dropped the assignment on the Telegram group in the course of the week.
All right. Thank you very much for the recap, sir. And so we will dive right in. Or does anybody have a question so far with what we've learned? For this week, hello, anybody can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so like Mrs. Babajide said, this week will be more of hands-on based on the things that we've learned so far. And I'm just going to share my screen right now to take us through some of those things that we're going to be talking about. Okay, so just a moment. Sorry. Almost there, sorry. Okay, so share screen. So please, can we all see my screen now? Can we see my screen?
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
can.
Yes,
all right.
yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much. All right, so this week, we're going to be diving more into the practical aspect of UI design, and we're going to try to make use of some of those things that we've learned so far. So basically, I'm going to introduce us to um, a tool called Figma, which I briefly talked about on our Telegram group yesterday. And so Figma is a collaborative, it's a collaborative UI tool, UI design tool that is essential for UI designs. Basically, it's not the only UI design tool that we have. We have others like Adobe XD, we have Sketch, we have other types as well. So, but before we dive into the practical aspect of things, I'm going to like to talk about the golden rules of UI design before we get into navigating the um, the Figma interface itself. So there are certain principles that guide um, designing a user interface. They are not they're just principles, not like formulas or something, but they are principles that we need to pay attention to in order to be able to create a user interface design that has a very fantastic user experience. And I'm going to also drop a link to read more about these rules or principles at the end of the class as well. All right, so before we get into that, so the golden rules of UI design, basically, the number one part says that we need to place users in control of the interface. One of the challenges that many products have basically is, or many digital products as it were, have is that for certain reasons, the creators or the designers have made it hard for users to be able to navigate their way around um, using the product. So they limit the access that the user has to navigating their way around the product. So making it hard, the user feels restricted using the product. I'm going to show us examples briefly. And then the number two part is that you need to make it comfortable for a user to interact with the product. Now, the user using the product has to be very comfortable um, going through the entire interface, from your choice of color to your choice of font to your choice of images and illustration to the copy. That is all of the written text and things that are written on your interface design. And then the third part, which is also very, very important, and all of these rules are interrelated, as I'm going to show us briefly. I'll get to this website quickly, is that you need to reduce the cognitive load. And what does that mean? It means that you need to reduce, because you're not designing for maybe a particular set of people who have maybe a certain high level of intelligence or something, as it were. People understanding things differently and at different levels. So it is important that we reduce the cognitive load. That means that you're reducing the mental activity, you're reducing the mental stress that comes with using that product. So you're making it very, very easy and simple to use for any user. And then the fourth one, which is equally very important, is there has to be some measure of consistency across your entire design. You have to be consistent across your entire design. I'm going to show us what I mean quickly with uh, some of these talks. Let me come back to my website. Okay, sorry. Okay. So, all right. Can we still see my screen, please? Anybody? Can we see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so I like us to be a little bit interactive. So now the first thing I talked about is placing users in control of the interface. And then part of why that is important is, for instance, you have to make actions reversible on your product. I think when I started using Gmail, there was something Gmail used to do. I can't remember if it was Gmail or Yahoo Mail. So it's something that if you some settings on the your email, you can't change them anymore. Basically, once it's set, you can't do anything. You can't revert. So if you make a mistake, that mistake you'd have to go on with that mistake as it is, or you probably eventually delete the account. In fact, there are a lot of platforms when this tech thing started springing up that you can't even delete an account. So once you've created that account, you've created it, you can't make certain changes. You can't change your preferences, like exactly preferences. That's the word I'm looking for. There are certain preferences that you can't change, like you can't change your username, you can't change things that you're using in inside the product, and then it makes it hard for people to get the maximum or satisfactory user experience that they desire in a particular product. So when you're creating or designing a product, you have to be forgiving. That means you have to be able to make actions reversible. That is why, for instance, persons who use Microsoft Office very well, there is the undo option. So you're typing something, you get something wrong. For instance, you can undo, or usually always go back. You can use Ctrl Z, and here you can go back and redo that thing. So you have the option to undo and redo. So that is very important when we're creating a UI design. So also you have to create an easy to navigate interface. Like I said earlier, you have to create an easy to navigate interface. And part of how we able to do that, I think when Alima was teaching, she made mention of something. I can't remember the exact word she used, but there are stuffs like ints. So you have to create into your design things like visual cues that help the user to be able to navigate um, the interface properly. And then there should be some level of the user should be able to predict their next step or the result of their action from the start. So it's not something that they are unsure of as they are going, even though they've not gotten to the end part, but they are able to understand what is going to happen. Look at this particular, I think this is a checkout page for an e-commerce platform. So from delivery to confirmation to payment, you already know how the flow of what you're doing is going to be. So you are not left in the dark. And that is part of those things that are important as you're creating your UI design. I'm going to go into the next thing. Also, so you have to also be acknowledging, provide information feedback. I'm going to quickly jump to the next thing and show us something as well. Then you have to show the visibility of the system status. What that means is you have to let the user know exactly what the status of whatever they are doing is. It's not that they are left in the dark. So you probably, for instance, maybe in certain things, probably when you are uploading an attachment, you're adding an attachment to your email, you see something like a progress bar that is added. So that is to let you know probably how long you have left for that attachment to be fully uploaded depending on the size. So all of these things help the user, because sometimes certain persons can be impatient when they can't even see, they can't see the result of what they are doing. So some of these things are very important as we're creating user interface design. These things are simple psychology, or psychological, how do I put it now? They're simple psychological things that we respond to on daily basis. Sometimes we don't pay attention to them, but these are the things that eventually make up a fantastic user experience with any design that you have created. And that is why we had to go through the user experience design, which Mr. Timmy taught to us also. So also another part of that is you have to be able to accommodate users with different skill level. Like I said earlier, that when I was talking about reducing cognitive load, not everybody understands things the same way. Not everybody is experienced the same way. Some persons might be more tech savvy than other persons. Some persons might just be coming in to understanding how to use even tech, as it were. So if you're creating a product, you have to be able to design it in such a way that anybody at all will be able to understand how to use your product. Take, for instance, if in fact with the way Google has simplified a lot of their products, simplified the use of a lot of their products up until now, you still find certain persons finding it hard to use that product. Even in this age where you have a lot of youngsters like us who are coming up and doing stuff, I still find some young people who are not able to properly use their computer device or their mobile phones, and then they have to ask questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? So imagine that. So now creating a product that is not easy for anybody of different skill level to be able to use, it's going to be a problem. And that is one of the reasons why we do something like this. I hope we can see this screen, something like this Safari screen. Basically what they're trying to do, they're not just using the shortcuts. Now they are writing what that command or what that function is in full, so that anybody coming in can understand, okay, so if I click this, it's going to create a new window. Or if I use this shortcut, that is going to do the same thing. But imagine somebody just uses an icon or this stuff for the short command, and then expects that every other person who comes into the platform will understand what they are doing. Then there will be trouble, because not so many persons are used to some of these things. But then being able to write it in full, then at least to a large extent, somebody coming in would understand that, okay, I'm trying to create something new, or I'm trying to create a new tab and things, because it's in plain English. And that is one of the ways by which we make some of the experiences on our user interface very, very, very good. Also, so we talked about making it comfortable for a user to use a product as well. One of the things that we need to do is, especially for products that are cross-platform, you need to make it very easy for people to use. You shouldn't restrict, except you're strictly creating a mobile product, you shouldn't restrict users to just being able to do something on maybe just mobile or desktop alone. Now, if you think about Facebook, for instance, just think about almost any device that can connect to the internet that you have, maybe it's your tab or your mobile phone or your desktop, you'll be able to use Facebook easily. And in fact, you, or even on your mobile, you necessarily don't have to have the Facebook app. You can still access the Facebook platform from your um, mobile browser, and then you still get at least fairly the same experience that you'd have as when you're using it on uh, um, on your desktop. One of the things that pisses a lot of users off is this: when you are asking the users to provide data that they've already entered. So maybe to perform a certain function again, maybe to probably buy a product or something, you are asking them for the same data they provided when they were registering to start using your product. Or you asked for their name,
Faith,
you asked for their mobile numbers. Yes, ma'am.
you're breaking up in between.
Okay. All right. Is it better now, ma'am?
Yes, for now.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Do I need to go back a little bit? I don't know if I lost anybody.
Maybe the last statement.
Okay, all right. All right. So I was saying that there are certain things that users don't find funny that pisses users off, and part of that is um, asking users for data that they've already entered, probably at the point where they were registering to start using, they were signing up to start using your product. Now, maybe they then need to, maybe it's to buy a product or to do some other thing on your platform, and you're asking for that same data again. It doesn't make users, it annoys users. So eh, you have to do it in such a way, or design it in such a way that you have to limit the data entry sequences. You don't have to keep asking for the same thing over and over and over again. So it's essential that when you're creating a UI design, you put this in mind so that you don't keep asking for the same details over and over and over again. And also, you need to avoid languages or terms that users don't understand. Not everybody would understand probably the technical jargon that comes with a particular product or something. You need to keep it simple. And simplicity is the hallmark of every fantastic design. Simplicity is the hallmark of it. So let's take this picture, for example, now. It's the same product, but then look at this. It's saying here, roost, migrate, fly. Those are terms that people are not usually used to when they are using a mobile maybe application or something. So it's going to be hard for any user to be able to get through to using this. But look at the other one, the one with the green mark. It says buy, rent, and sell. Those are things that users can easily understand. There is no confusion about it. There is no trouble getting to understand what it means. So we need to avoid the use of all of these vague or complex terminologies when we are creating a design. Just stick to things that people understand on a day-to-day basis. And then there's this part, I think Alima talked about it when we were dealing with some of the introduction to UI and UX design. So applying Fitts law, this basically talks about uh, um, okay, let me state this. Fifth law states that the time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to the size and target. Now, this means that to create um, something that, okay, you're going to, okay, let me just use this picture as a perfect example. Now, this is, say, a mobile design. This is a mobile design. Maybe for whatever reason, maybe the way you're considering or looking at the product, you decided that, okay, the size might not be too should not be too bogus or something. But then look at the hand of the user on this particular button. Now there's going to be challenge because eventually the user is going to be pressing both buttons together. They're not probably able to navigate or to interact with those two buttons properly. But if you look at the other one, to press each of the buttons is very easy, very smooth. So you need to design your interface in such a way that it is easy to access any button, to click any feature, anything clickable, to navigate around. Make it very, very easy. Nothing complex. Now, imagine most likely on this kind of product, the one on the left-hand side, the user would likely have to zoom in and all of that to be able to click on what they need to click on, which is usually very bad. But on a regular mobile device, if you have a button like this, it's easy for you to click. In fact, most persons use their thumb when they are using a mobile phone. So you use your thumb to navigate through the screen. Now imagine you're using your thumb you want to press a button, but then it is hard to actually get to the exact button. I think I've had experiences with something like that and it wasn't really, really nice. So imagine many of the users having the same experience. So also make your user interface design very, very accessible. Make it very, very accessible. Things like I used to use this example of the dark mode that came with most products later on. You need to add things that will make it accessible for any kind of persons. Probably somebody with low vision, persons with blindness, persons with hearing impairment, things like that. You need to be able to add all of those things to the design so that it makes um, working through the interface very, very easy for any type of person. Although you must put in mind the kind of persons you are creating the um, you're creating the product for. But look at our mobile phones, for instance. There's this thing called, I think, intelligent voice broadcast. So even if you're not there or you can't see the screen of your phone, for instance, probably you have a message or you have a notification, it's able to broadcast, okay, this is the notification that you have, or you have a call from so 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 and so. Now imagine somebody who is blind but then still has to use tech using that type of product. The person would not necessarily have issues being able to interact with the product because there's something called intelligent voice broadcast, and makes it easy for the person to be able to use as well. Then this says use real world metaphors. Now, it makes it easy. Now, this particular one, I like it very well. Uh, there's a way users interact when they see things that they are actually, when they see things that they can relate with. Now, on our mobile, on our computers, basically, when you delete something, it goes to the recycle bin. Now imagine they use something else to indicate what the recycle bin means. But anytime, even if there's nothing written on it, when anybody sees this trash bin basket, you understand that anything that you have trashed goes into it, and you're able to relate with it. It makes it understandable. So you see the trash bin full when you delete something, but the moment you empty the recycle bin, it becomes empty, and you're able to understand what's going on with it automatically like that. These are some of the things that make user um, experience for products make it very, very good. Look at this particular one as well. So you're creating a mobile design that has to do with something payment, and then the person has to put in their card and number, their debit card or credit card number, and you put something like this. This makes the person understand what they need to do, and look at it, they already know what they ought to do. Even if on a normal day they are not used to this product, but they have a debit card or a credit card as it were, they understand what they need to do automatically by seeing this. Also, you need to engineer for errors. So there can be errors in the user journey, different things that come along the way. But then you need to be smart about the way that the responses that user get, you need to be smart about the way it comes. So imagine before there was nothing like a recover password and things like that. But look at the person is putting in a wrong password or something here. Says, sorry, that password isn't right. We can help you recover your password. Now, you've calmed the person down who is using the product, but then imagine just a message, the message that the person sees when he probably puts in the wrong password is something like incorrect password. Maybe the person doesn't even know that he has made a mistake typing something and all of that. The person just gets confused and all of that, and it makes the experience poor. But then if you go with this subtle way of helping the person realize that probably they've done the wrong thing along the way and they're able to get back their way. Some persons will have to go back and all of that. Now, look at the caption under this message. Good UI has precise, polite, and constructive error messages. It shouldn't be something too sharp. It shouldn't be something abrasive, but something cool that the user can relate with and feel good about. So nobody wants to feel like a stupid person using a product. It makes everybody just pissed off and all of that. So you need to be constructive, polite, and precise with the error message, not something spooky and boogie, but something precise as well. So I'm going to jump on all of that. Okay, the other part that needs to be put in consideration also is that you need to protect the user's work. So there shouldn't be stuff like I think before there used to be that problem, even if you're using stuff like Microsoft Word in the olden days, so long you don't save what you're typing, you're not saved, and probably there's an error maybe in the server, or there's power loss. Everything the user is doing just goes with it like that, and then they can't return to where they stopped. But over time, all of these products have been engineered so that the user can actually, at least to a large extent, recover some part, even if not all, a part of what they've done so far. And this makes using a product very easy. And you see this with certain forms that you're filling. Maybe you're applying for something. You can apply to a point, pause it, and come back. You don't get to start all over again. I for one, get pissed off when I've filled something for so long, I've tried to work my way around it, and then maybe for certain reasons, I have to abandon it and come back. And then I find out that I have to start all over again. It doesn't make it nice at all. In fact, eventually, most times, I just give up on such platforms and then I just go to do something else. So we need to put that into action. Like I said also earlier, reduce the cognitive load that comes with using a product. Um, Persons might be tired, might be stressed out with things like that. Reduce the mental processing power that is required to use a product. That's why many people just come to social media, because you just can't scroll your way through, you have fun, you laugh, you see funny content and stuff like that. And then most times, all of those social medias are easy to use and navigate through. You need to reduce the mental processes that go into using a product. It's not rocket science. That is why you have to make it very, very simple to use. Okay, so that is also important. Reduce the numbers of actions that is required to complete a task. I was filling, I think it was an application. I was filling out an application maybe about a year or two ago or something. I can't remember. And then what got me what got me tired from the start was when I found out how many things I was going to do to then complete the application. Like that just either scares you off or just bugs you out, because when you look at, so I have to go through like 12 different steps to get to the final destination. It just makes it hard to, get through that kind of task, get through that kind of interface very quickly and easily. So you need to reduce the number of actions that it takes to complete a task. All right, so recognition is also important. Recognition over recall. So you need to pay attention. I'm sure with, for instance, I will use the Zoom app we're currently using. You can see that almost all of the things that we have as icons, you can see from here, there are things you can easily relate with. Okay, so you see this, you know that you're supposed to chat, this relates to maybe participant or people in the room. You already see this, it has something to do with security because it's a shield. You see this, it's a camera and things like that too. You need to design things in such a way that people will recognize it without even anybody telling them what to do. Even if all of these other guys, the text were not written on that, that persons will be able to understand it because they recognize it, they are used to it already. You need to pay attention to that. And you need to promote visual clarity. Everything you're doing must be clear. It must be legible. The information must be quick. The user must be able to quickly discern what you've written. It must be clear, basically legible and clear. No, you're not to be using low resolution images and things like that. All of those goes into proper. All of those things get contribute to designing a very good user interface. And then it's good to the principal stuff with alignment, balance, and things like that, that I'm going to talk about when we get into the Figma app itself, that makes it such that our user interface design is very, very good as well. And then the final part is that you need to create a system of visual consistency. It's not that you're using color green, like look at this particular picture here. You're not using this today and you're using that in the next page. You're not using maybe a particular style of font, and then in another part you're using another type of font for like the same type of thing. You have to create a structure or a system of consistency across your design so that users don't get lost. It's just like the user will feel like they've entered into another world the entire day if they find out that what they've been interacting with suddenly changed. It's like that. Just think about some movies that you've watched. For persons who see movies, um, I was reiterating this in one of my classes a while back, that I was seeing a movie some while ago, and for about an hour, um, the storyline was consistent, and at a particular point in time, everything just switched, and it felt like I was watching a totally different movie, because it's as though they just lost the storyline at some point, and then everything just turned around, and then eventually I didn't eventually enjoy watching the movie because they just switched at some particular point. So this also comes into play when we're designing our user interface. We must be consistent with a visual elements, things that we're using, sizes of fonts, size of shapes, the color, and all of those things, and we'll get to them shortly. Functional consistency as well. So if some level of interaction that you have created in some part of your product, you shouldn't get to another part and change the interaction. Let's say it's a button. So this button reacts this way when I click it, and then you shouldn't get to another part of the same design and then you are changing that interaction. The functional consistency must also be put into consideration. So the user should not be encountering surprises every time they interact with your product. So this is what they mean by principle of least surprise. They should not get spooked or surprised every time they're using your product, because they're always expecting something new. Now, it's understandable if you create an upgrade to that product, okay, and then you tell them, oh, there's an upgrade or there's an update. That's understandable. But then having to walk through your design or your product, they are just getting surprised every point in time, then there will be issues using that product, because not everybody might eventually get their way around or get a hang of what you're trying to do. And you need to manage users' expectation. Like we said in one of the points that we listed, or that I talked about up there, that there should be some measure of users should be able to predict what the next outcome or what the result of what they are doing will be. So that's part of what contributes to expectation. You should be consistent with user expectation. So their expectation should not be dashed at any point. Follow conventions that are, even though you're trying to create something spectacular and something new, just follow guidelines and conventions that follow what you're trying to create. Don't reinvent patterns, you just create more problems for yourself. Don't try to reinvent terminologies and stuff. Look at this as well now. So you're using a product, say Amazon or eBay now, and then you're familiar with shopping cart. Now somebody is coming to say shopping center. Now that is enough confusion for any user, because what you expect normally is that you click a product and then it automatically is added to your shopping cart, or irrespective of what or how many number or the quantity of what you've selected. But then somebody is coming to say shopping center, and that's going to be a problem now. So shopping cart is the familiar terminology rather. A shopping center can just confuse people who shop online. So we need to pay attention to all of that. So the goal of UI designers today is to provide or produce user-friendly interface that encourage exploration without fear and negative consequences. For people who do stuff like digital marketing and SEO, you understand some of these things, that it is important that a user stays long on your platform or your website. So either having a consistent, how do I put it now, high level of bounce rate or something. I think it's bounce rate if I'm not getting it right. That means persons that come into your site and then they're just getting out quickly. That means there's problem. So that means they're not getting what they're looking for. It's not intuitive, it's not enticing, and they're not deriving the expectation of what they need. That means there's going to be problems. So we need to pay attention to all of this. Please, if you do have any question, I'm open to answer those questions. Thank you. Sorry, I hope I wasn't rushing or I wasn't being too fast. Are we still with me?
Yes, you were good. Yes.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so right about now we'll be going to Figma. I hope we've all been able to create an account on Figma. So Figma is basically a is a
Hi,
web-based, or is it,
Mr.
let me say, a web app.
Faith.
Okay.
Um, Please, I have a question. Though not particularly related to exactly what you just told us now, but it's still related to product design and all. I think the
Okay.
question pop up again when we are talking about one should not reinvent any pattern, stuff like that. So I used to wonder, like,
Okay.
a whole lot of things has been done. There is design system, there's almost any design you want. So why are there still so much need for people to learn design, product design and all, since almost all these things people can easily replicate, and like maybe much people will not even be needed to do anything new. So I don't understand. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you
So
get my
my answer
question?
to that question. Okay. Yes, I get your question. So I think if I can understand the question properly, what you're trying to say is, okay, with all that has been created already, with the knowledge that is already out there, why do we then have the need for people to come into product design, creating new things, as it were, right? So my answer to that will be that, uh, like economists said, that human needs, or is it human wants, is insatiable now. So even though we've had companies, we've had industries that have created certain things, they've invented things that is being useful for us, but then there's a constant need for one, for new products. And really, there's really nothing new, but then there's just usually an improvement on what has been created before. So let's say, for instance, a process or a product that we've been doing, or a certain kind of activity has usually been analog. Then another company is coming to say, all right, we can make this digital. Take, for instance, booking hotels. Before, you have to get to that hotel that you need to, and then make bookings and stuff. But over time, different companies started coming up and to say, all right, you don't need to get to that location, you don't need to get to that place for you to book an hotel. So you're coming to Nigeria and you're going to stay in Abuja, right? You don't necessarily need to get to Abuja first before you start looking for an hotel, but we will gather all the list of hotels in Abuja, right? And then we're going to make it such that you can explore them, see their prices, see what they have, see the way their rooms are, and things like that. And you'll be able to make your choice and book an hotel in advance, right? Then I'll make another example or reference to Uber services or taxi, car hailing services now. So before, you have to get out of the house and then probably stand by the side of the road and hail down a cab. But then somebody thought, okay, why not make it easy for people to just book a cab or rent a cab or something like that without necessarily having to step out of the house? So you're in a meeting and you have to be in another meeting. Just use probably Uber or Taxify. I don't know, different other ones that are also available, and then you set your destination and all of that, and then a driver comes to pick you up, takes you to your destination and things like that. So the thing here is that over time, the way we do things are changing, the way we approach issues, the way we solve problems is changing, and so there has to be innovative ways to get those things done. Look at education also, for instance. I think in one of the classes we had, somebody was asking a question about learning management systems. Before, you just have to be in front of a teacher teaching you and all of that, and then you didn't have access to extra resources or things like that. But now we have a lot of online platforms, learning management systems that have made it easy that you necessarily do not even have to step out of your house to get the learning you need. Okay, take what we're doing, for instance. Boot camps, as I used to know, means everybody has to gather in a place for a particular number of days or weeks and get and learn what they need to learn and do the activities they need to do. But now we're doing this comfortably over Zoom. because Zoom was able to think, okay, how can we make it easy for people to communicate, interact, share knowledge, and things like that without necessarily having to step out of the comfort of their homes or comfort of their spaces. And then they created Zoom. So that is why there will be the need for product designers. In fact, it's a very huge need. So different companies are just picking up product designers, and not just product designers. It's basically the entire tech field. So there are niches that are being created every day. There was nothing like, for instance, take social media influencing before. Nothing like that, because social media was not really the in thing. But now there are persons on social media who make it easy for they've built their profile in such a way that people follow them, people just respond to them. Now, those persons have become influencers. And then when companies want to promote a product, they want to promote a service, they reach out to those influencers, pay them, and they use whatever means they know best to promote such products. Look at that. So because the way we approach things is evolving every time. So that is why it is important that we have people who would be able to directly solve such problems or respond to those needs. And that is why we have product designers on the rise, making it easy for people to be able to interact or use products seamlessly without any form of trouble. We use products with ease, basically. So technology is just to make life easy, and user interface and user experience designers are usually also at the forefront of it to make sure that these things are really, really very easy to do. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Barkis, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Faith, for that explanation. That is really great. And I studied economics. So when you said economic needs are insatiable, human needs, I'm like, oh my God, you're speaking my language. They literally bit that into our brain while studying at OAU back then. So Barkis, I know you do a bit of front-end development. So if I was to take the question in a different way. So what you're saying is there are templates, there are themes everywhere. Why do we need a designer to work on it? Right.
Exactly. You got
Clients,
the question.
yeah, clients' needs are different, and you want to stand out. You want to create a niche. It's easy. You can pick, like, Faith is going to show us now how to use a template on Figma. But how do you stand out? How do you differentiate because a million people have access to the same template. So how do you create value? How do you stand out? How do you make sure that you're offering your clients or your customers extra bit more? So the templates are there to give you guidelines of things that you need to consider. But sometimes somebody might even want something bespoke in fact, 9 out of 10 times, you still have to do some element of coding. So in terms of design, I may see this medley finer UI, but I want something else. I want my color to be different. I want the font size to be different. And I actually want the images to be positioned at the bottom. Can you see that I cannot just roll out a template? I still need to do some work. So that is why we customize based on either starting from scratch or using a template or a theme. Yeah? So there'll always be work for us.
Ma'am, I get.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Any other question? Nope. Okay, let's move on. Do we need a comfort break or should we crack on?
I prefer to carry on because it's only an hour left.
Okay, let's do that. Now, let's get our hands dirty. Figma. Everybody open your screen and start working. We're going to be following through what Faith is doing.
All right, so without wasting much of our time, and we'll get to using Figma. So all right, I believe you can still see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so if we have who has not created an account on Figma? if you've not done that, please try to do that quickly so that we can get into it together. All right, so I'm going to take us through the way Figma works, and this is basically how your Figma dashboard looks like when you sign into your Figma account. So you basically have, okay, mine is a little bit populated because I've had a number of things that I've done earlier. So it's kind of a little bit populated. So, but as you're working on Figma, you have all of those things, snapshot of those things populated on your dashboard. And then your recent files is going to show you the drafts that you've created. You have them here. I hope you can still see my screen. All right, so I'm going to come into some of these things quickly. So basically here, you can create a new design file for a prototype or basically just a wireframe if you wish. And then there is this thing called FigJam. There's what we call FigJam. I think FigJam is related to Balsamiq now. Balsamiq and I can't remember, there's one other one roaming in my head. And what that does is it helps you to be able to collaborate, share ideas. Like if you're working as a team and you can have as many persons in your team come onto this FigJam session. So I think Mr. Timmy was talking earlier to us when he did the recap. He talked to us about the design sprint and stuff that we talked about. Now, this is what part of what the FigJam helps us to do. So it helps us to ideate and collaborate. So we're sharing ideas and we can time ourselves. Okay, within the next, say within the next 30 minutes, we want to be able to do this. So we have a task ahead of us. We want to be able to create this product or create this design, maybe as a feature for a product, and we need to share ideas and rub minds and things like that. And now everybody is coming onto this platform to say, okay, yeah, this is what we can do. What if we do it this way and things like that. So there are things you can do and add. You can add sticky notes as you are working and add things, and everybody is seeing. But part of that is that you can also like collaborate. You can add shapes and things like that. And as you're working, you have all of those things. You can even have a marker while you're doing something, tracing stuff out and things like that. Makes collaboration easy. Which means that you necessarily don't have to be in the same office space with everybody that you're working with to be able to do, to be able to share ideas and things like that. You can type in your text to illustrate what you're trying to do. You have things like drawing lines and things like that that you can also do. You have other a library of hats and stuff that you can use to illustrate what you're trying to refer to. In that, you also have what we call your stamp. That all of these things are just illustrative elements that as you're trying to create something, you are it makes communication easier. And then here you can even place an image to make things that you're working with easy. So if you're working as a team, usually in organizations, a product design team, they're usually a product design team. So it's usually not one person doing all of the work. So there's usually a team. So Figma has made it easy that you can use this platform now to collaborate, even if you're not in the same place. There are a lot of companies now who have designers like scattered across the world, persons in Nigeria, in India, and things like that. And they're able to still collaborate and share ideas. So now they take the product of everything they've done here, and then go and translate it into the design. Now the UI designer, whoever is the UI designer, or the persons that are UI designers in their midst, take the product of their deliberations here and go and translate it into the design. And then they probably come back here again to come and reason, okay, does this fit the exact thing that we're trying to create? Excuse me. Does this fit the exact idea of what we're trying to create? If not, what can we change? What can we do? So basically, this is what is just a whiteboard platform where you get to sketch things out, draw ideas, and put things together. I'm sure persons who deal with products would be able to relate with this more, or who deal with creating whether digital or physical product, as it were, will be able to relate with this and things like that. I hope I'm not rushing, please. I'm just conscious of time. All right. So back to Figma. Or does anybody have a question about FigJam? Anybody?
Oh, not yet. Just getting my head
All right.
around it.
Okay. So if you do have any question,
Thank you.
you can just drop it. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And so I move on to Figma itself in proper. All right. Now, okay. So like I said, that it's possible to work as a team when using Figma, right? And this makes it easy for different persons to be able to collaborate on a project. So let's say it's a huge project. I think, for instance, you can see this guy on my dashboard. It's actually a very big project, and not just I wasn't the only person who worked on it. There are other persons who worked on it. I think about one more or two persons who worked on it as well. That is why we have something like this collaboration feature on Figma. Now, if we're to work on a team, and I would probably like that way, a few persons will be able to work with me on something that we're going to start doing, but I'll just quickly run through the interface as it were. So from here, we'll create a team. But before I do that, I will just quickly go through creating a new design file. Now, if you're creating a new design file, if you logged in into your Figma account, you see something here, and there is this plus stuff. This is helping you to create a new design file, or basically you can do that from here. It helps you basically create helps you create a new design file. What is this? This seems to be an upgrade. Okay, sorry, this is to import something. This is to import a pre-existing file that you've created from your local drive into Figma. Yeah, basically. So this is to help you create a new design file. And the moment I clicked that, I have that I have that opened here. Sorry, are we following me? Can I go on?
Yes.
Yes, please,
sir.
go on. You're breaking up
All right.
slightly though. Maybe adjust your mic.
Okay. All right. Probably adjust the direction of my microphone. All right. Is it better now?
Not quite.
Okay. I think I'm having a problem with my network connection.
Yeah, it's like buzzing.
Okay.
Okay, that's better now.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So you can see from here, this is how a new design file that you've created. This is how it looks like. It's simply bland. And one of the reasons why they've made it this way, such that it's very, very simple and light to be able to navigate around. Not there aren't too much add-ons and stuff that makes it complex and easy to use. So they've made it the interface very, very simple, such that even a beginner would find it a little bit easy to navigate their way around. Now you can see a pop-up showing here, and it's saying if you want more editors to this file, and this is what you need to do. So it's saying drafts are only shareable with other viewers. To move this, you need to move it into a team to be able to collaborate with other editors for free. So we're going to get back to that shortly, and then we're going to do that. So, but I just quickly want to run through how the interface works. So I'm going to cancel this for a while. So this file is untitled and it's telling me that it's a draft. Yeah, so basically as of now, I'm the only one who can edit this. Even if I share it with anybody, they can only view it. They cannot edit it along with me. All right, so now this is our menu option on our Figma interface, and this just has a couple of options that helps us do things around. So if we're getting back to our dashboard, back to files, this is where we click. So if there are any quick actions that you need to do as well, maybe search for something, you simply just do this. It helps you to be able to search. Maybe you're looking for a menu, a command or a plugin that we're going to use, you simply use that option as well. And then you have this file, which some of us might already be used to, maybe using different either other design tools, or in fact, basically maybe even Microsoft Office or stuff or things like that. So you're able to create a new file. You're able to. So this is saying, I remember I talked about Sketch, that Figma is not the only UI and prototyping design tool that we have. You have Sketch, for instance. So you can bring in a Sketch file into Figma. So this is something that happens with some products like this. There are some of them that don't permit interconnectivity. Like you can't bring in a file from another platform and come and edit it in Figma. But there are some platforms like Sketch, for instance, that permits that. So I can bring in a Sketch file and come and edit it in Figma and things like that. So that's why we have this kind of option. Then this is saying if I need to place an image into my design, I can simply come here, and it has a short command as well. If I need to save a local copy of what I've done, that means usually why this is there is that because Figma is a web application, is a web-based platform, everything you do, once you've created an account, everything you do is saved online. So you do not have, there is no fear of losing what you've designed or what you've created. So long you're connected to the internet, it saves your work automatically. But maybe for any reason you need to save a local copy, you do that from here. And then there's this that says save version history. So this is important in that maybe you're making certain changes to your design, and then you don't want to lose the track or the flow of what you've been doing before. You simply just save to version history. So it will create another instance of that same design, but with the new updates. So it won't touch the initial one you've created, but it will just create another instance and save that new addition or save that update that you've made to the file. And that makes your work easy. So you don't get to start losing things and all that too. This is the same thing. Okay, yeah, this saves a work to your version history, and this saves your version history. You can export what you've done as well. You can export to picture format. Think you can export to JPG, you can export to PNG, you can export to PDF as well. So, and you can export your frames as well. And the number of, so we call one the pages we create in Figma, we call them frames. So when you've created frames, maybe as many as whatever frames that you're creating, as many as numbers might be, you can export them to PDF. Maybe for a certain presentation, you need to present them in document format. You can export as PDF. So all of this comes under your edit, your undo, your redo, your paste, and things like that. We're going to get to them in time. And then you have some of these features of things that you need to see. If you have to, your pixel grid, your ruler, your so you can see I clicked on the ruler, immediately activated the ruler on my screen. And then you have other features that you can always add. You have your zoom, the zoom section as well. If you need to zoom in on something or you need to zoom out, you have that as well. And then you have objects. Basically, you're trying to add objects and you're trying to your grouping and ungrouping, your arrangement and alignment, all of that is done under here. And if you're creating a vector, you're adding a vector into your design, all of that comes around here. I'm going to get into some of these things as we start creating. I'm just trying to rush through it. So your text as well, you're adding text to your design, you have them here. Your arrangement and alignment, like we had under objects, we still have them here. And then you remember I said that Figma has been created in such a way that it is light. You don't have all of those plugins already, added, all of those extra features. You don't have them added into your design, making it so heavy and complex to use. But what Figma has done is that if you need an extra feature for your design, if you need an extra feature, something you need to add, maybe you're trying to create, you're trying to add icons now, for instance, to your design. You're trying to add icons to your design, you simply see it from, you simply add those things from here. You're trying to add maybe a dummy text, you see it from here. Maybe you're trying to add charts, maybe to something, maybe you're creating a page for something like analytics, for instance, and you need to add charts. there's a plugin for that. You simply do that under here, and there are integrations that you have into your Figma as well. So you can bring in some apps into your Figma, maybe just for cross connectivity. So you are working in Figma, you can save directly, for instance, with Dribble. Dribble here is a portfolio site, a portfolio website where you can upload your work that you've done and have it displayed there. So if somebody is asking, okay, can I have access to some of the things you've done? Can you send a link to your portfolio? If you have a Dribble account, you can easily send them your Dribble, the link to your Dribble portfolio. But it's easy if you've integrated it, for instance, into your, this is not the only integration though, the other ones, if you've created that, you can simply save, once you save your work in Figma, you can save it directly to your Dribble account, and all of the preferences you have here as well, the libraries of things you have. And here you can simply get a desktop app for persons who would prefer that they download the desktop app. The only other thing with it is that even though you are downloading the desktop app, you still have to be connected to the internet to use it, because Figma is a web-based application. So you have to be connected online to use the platform. All right. So I'll get into the tools also now and other parts of the platform. Now, this site, I hope you can see my screen where my cursor is hovering on. This part, as it's labeled, is our layer panel. So it means everything I had into my design is going to reflect under the layer panel. Everything I had into my design is going to reflect under the layer panel. Everything basically will reflect there. And then you can see I've added a rectangle, I've added a vector, everything is shown under my layer panel. So that is what the layer panel is for. So it helps me to track things that I've added into my design. And then I have my assets, which is another tab. So if I've created assets of maybe components or libraries of certain elements that I've created in my design, I find them under assets. And then here is a list of pages. If I'm trying to create pages in my design, well, for the free version of Figma, you can only create 3 pages in a particular design. You can only create 3 pages. But for persons who use the enterprise version, you can create as many pages as possible. But for now, we're using the free version. All right. I then go on to the next thing. Here, these are our tools basically, and this is the toolbar. You can call this the toolbar. This guy here is the toolbar. And then this is our move tool. What the move tool basically does is helps you to be able to move elements around, and then gives you some measure of, control over every element that you've added into your design. So it helps you to move your tool around, one, and then it gives you some measure of, control over things that you've done. It helps you select or click on those elements and be able to make certain changes that you need to make on them. And then you have your scale tool. What your scale tool basically does is it helps you to scale your elements. Any element you've created, it helps you to scale them in proportion. Basically, it helps you to scale it up or scale it down in proportion. All right, so in the adequate proportion, basically. And then then I remember I said that what we work with in Figma, or basically any other prototyping software or UI design software, all of those pages we're creating, we call them frames. So this is our frame tool, basically. So if I were to select the frame tool, you see something on this side of the screen, and then it's telling us these are frames that we have. So basically, these are preset frames that come with Figma. These are preset frames. So if I were to select, for instance, maybe I'm trying to create a mobile product, I can select this frame, which is iPhone, a preset for iPhone 11 Pro Max. Are we still with me, please? And I hope you can still see my screen. Anybody?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I can.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so from here, you have a preset, a list of preset frames that you can choose from. For your mobile phone, you have for Android, you have for iPhone, you have all of that. And then you have for tablet as well, for iPad mini, basically just some presets that you can always work around. This is for iPad, for instance. And if I were to do something for desktop, I have for a regular desktop, I have for MacBook, I have for MacBook Pro, for iMac, I can basically choose any of those frames that I'm working with. So it depends on what I'm trying to create. And then you have other ones as well. If you're trying to create something for a presentation, for probably slides, it's possible to create slides in your Figma as well. If you're designing for maybe your digital watch, you can create something from your have templates for that as well. And you're trying to create something just for paper, you have that. And for social media, you have that as well. And you have something for the Figma community. We're going to get into all of these things as time goes on. I'm going to move into the shape tools now. Basically, we're familiar with these shapes. So if you're trying to create a rectangle, you're trying to create a line, you're trying to create an arrow, an ellipse, or a circle, you're trying to create a polygon, a star, you have all of this. And this particular one last year is to be able to, add images into your design. So if I wanted to add an image to this frame, maybe as a background, all I needed to do is just click the place image tool. He opens my my Windows Explorer, because I use Windows OS, and I'm able to come in here and pick a picture of what I'm trying to add to it, and then as an open, and simply adds it into my frame just the way I've added it like that. Or if it's a shape, we're going to get into how to use this as time goes on. Now this other one is what we call our pen tool. Now what the pen tool helps us to do is helps us to be able to create vector shapes or vector images that our regular shape tool would not be able to help us to create. So all of these are kind of preset and rigid. It's basically either you're creating a square, a rectangle, you're creating a line, and all of that. But this helps us to be able to be more dynamic with whatever we're trying to create. So I might want to create a blob, for instance, maybe something, something into my design, something like this, that probably might have something to do with a shape like this, and I would want to fill it and all of that. It depends on what I'm trying to create in my design. My normal shape tool will not help me to be able to create this. My normal shape tool will not be able to help me create this, but I'm sure we've probably seen some things like this in certain designs. Or so my normal shape tool will not help me create things like this, but my my pen tool would allow me to be able to do stuff like that. Without further ado, I'll just go on and we'll come back to it and see how well we can also use it. We also have our pencil tool. Your pencil tool, just like your regular pencil, it just helps you to be able to draw stuff or create sketches of things as well, just as you would do with your normal pencil. You have all the other features you have with that as well. You can always do these things. But then I think when we're using things like the pencil tool, it's usually easier for persons who are using a graphics tab, a graphic tablet, or a sketch pad, a digital sketch pad, to use something like a pen tool, because they will be more precise, unlike somebody who is just dragging their hands over their trackpad on their laptop or using an external mouse. So for somebody who's using a digital sketch pad, using a pencil tool will be able to work better. You basically can use the pencil tool to create sketches and things like that. Maybe even sign your name. I don't know. I'm not too good with using the pencil tool to sign my name or something, but then you can do stuff like that with pencil tool, and that is how that works. Now, this okay, yeah. Before I jump to that, our text tool, um, basically just to write in text into our design, and you notice that almost all of the tools I've been selecting, you can see their properties. So this is what we can call our property bar. Their properties are appearing here, where I can change the color, I can change the size, and things like that. For instance, here I can change the type of font. Okay, let me increase the font size first a little bit. So I have this. I can change the type of font I'm using. I can use different other kinds of fonts. I can increase this font size, right? I can do all of that in line spacing, um, um, and things like that. I can change the color as well, and things like that. So that is how that works. And then we have this guy, which is called the AND tool. The AND tool. You can activate that by just pressing H on your PC. Now, how does this work? Is supposing I zoomed in on something, I zoomed in on this frame, for instance, and probably make some changes, and I want to see how it appears on other parts of that same frame without necessarily having to zoom out. I can use the hand to help me navigate around, and that is how it works. I can use the hand to help me navigate around. Yeah, so that is how the hand tool works. And so I I've been talking about zooming in and zooming out. This is where you can do that. You have this zoom option on the right hand corner of your screen, and you can see I'm currently zoomed into about 412%. I can click that and zoom out. I can click that and just zoom out, or I can zoom to a particular proportion by just putting in, the percentage zoom that I want. I can say 50%, for instance, just click to zoom out. So if you need to do some level of zoom, you can do that. For persons who are using very intuitive trackpads, you can just, the same way you zoom out something on your tablet or your mobile phone, you can simply do that on your trackpad as well, or your mouse, your laptop's mouse. You can do that. You can zoom in that way. Or one other ways you can do is hold your your zip key, the zip letter key on your PC. Once you click on the that zip key or button, you can just tap on your mouse to zoom in. You can tap on your mouse to continue to zoom in. And if you need to zoom out as well, still holding the zip key, you hold your Alt key as well. You see the sign on the zoom icon on the zoom cursor changes. You hold your Z key or Z as the case may be. Hold your Z or Z and hold your Alt key, and then you zoom out. You click on your mouse to zoom out. So that is that about that. And then finally, to the last guy on the toolbar is what we call the add comment tool. The add comment tool. Now, because for instance, you said Figma is a collaborative tool. Many persons can get to work on a Figma file or Figma project. So the hard comment tool helps to be able to interact even within the project as you are working. So let's say I have 3 other persons working with me on this project, and like I've added this color, or somebody added this color, and this is not the color we're working with, doesn't relate to the brand we are working with. I can come in here, for instance, click the tool and click the tool and then drop this here and say something like maybe you have deviated from the brand color, and I just do post. Now, the moment I do that, it's posted that I've added a comment, and then when the person concerned or other persons concerned, see it, they can respond. It's just the same way like we chat in Zoom, the same way you can add chat in Zoom. Now, I can basically, because I'm still the only one on this file. Now, if the other persons, I can either choose to send the entire message to the entire team, or I can select the person I want to send it to in particular, just as you would with the Zoom chat section. So that is the way that works. So it makes collaborating on a project very, very easy, very, very easy. Before I continue, does anybody have a question about what I've explained so far, or maybe you have some bit of challenge navigating your way through? So I can explain that before I move into showing us how we can get some things done. Anybody?
I mean, what I would
do
like
you
to
mean by-
go on. Who wants to go?
Please, you can go on.
Okay, it's just talking about user experience for this Figma. I registered on my laptop, and he asked me to verify my email, and I verified it through my phone. And I wanted to continue working on my laptop, and it wouldn't let me continue because I have not verified it, maybe probably on the device that I registered on. So I kind of thought, wow, it wouldn't just let me continue on my laptop because I registered on the laptop and verify somewhere else. So until I verify on the laptop, that's when I was able to proceed. So that's very interesting.
Oh.
It's just a lesson for me, basically. I just wanted to share that. So I'm not
Wow.
sure if it's part of their security
That's kind of
in terms of where you verify,
it's
that's
kind
the
of
device you can use or something like that. I don't know.
really, I really don't think it's part of their security. Maybe it's just a bug or something, but I feel
Okay.
you
It did
should
the
be able
same
to,
for me as well.
continue on your piece.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I had to verify on my phone. Because I couldn't do it on my laptop for whatever, but I did it on my tablet, and I downloaded it on my tablet. I verified on my phone. It wouldn't let me, so I had to go back and do it where I signed up.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one user
Wow.
experience that we've
Wow.
had. So I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just thought, wow, what's this? But never mind.
Okay, I'll check that out. I'll check that out to see why that could be an issue. But I really don't think it's a security thing for them. So probably just because the IP of the devices are a little bit different, that might just be the issue. Why you have to, verify on your PC again. So, but I'll check it out. Sorry for that. Okay, so I guess I can
Okay.
continue now.
My question is on page. You said for free Figma, we can only make 3 pages. What does a page mean, like in Figma?
Okay, so okay, let me give us a practical example or illustration of what a page will do. So let's choose a product, for instance. Let's say a logistics application. Are you with me? So
Yes.
you'd have an admin hand, like where the administrators of the logistic business or something relate with the customers, and then you have a user end, that is the direct user where they interact, and probably another another part. Now, while designing, so that you don't get your work clustered and messed up, so you simply create a page. So I can say this first page, for instance, that has been created, right? I can say this is going to be the user end, the direct user end. So everything I'm doing on this page now is going to be what the user sees. It's going to be what the user sees. So I can then create another page. It's still within the same file, right? Within the same file, but I can then say this is the admin end. So whoever the admin is, maybe the person that is authorizing the app, or authorizing the maybe sales or offers or something, that is where everything that administrator sees on their own end, I'm going to design it here. So what creating pages, what it just helps you to do is that it helps you decluster your work, so you don't have to have everything together on the same, on the same screen, but it is still inside the same file. You just have different pages. Or it's just like when you're browsing on your your browser, and then you're creating tabs. Do you understand? So that's just basically the way it works. So if I were to create something here now, maybe I create a frame, I have all the work I'm doing on the admin end here. So if I need to go back to the user end, I still go back to user end. I continue what I'm doing. I can come back to the admin end. And you remember I said, okay, we could also collaborate. So maybe in the team, we have 2 or 3 UI designers, and then the first person is tasked with, okay, you design the user end. Everything the user sees and interacts with, you design it. But we are collaborating and working on the same file and on the same project. So we wouldn't have any issues. So while the person is working on the user end, maybe I'm the second UI designer, I'll say, okay, you are working on the admin end. I can work on the admin end without issues. Do you understand why it has pages and stuff now?
Okay, sir.
Right. thank you very much. All right, so I'll go on to the next thing. So I think, in my opinion, it would be cool to have us work, maybe a few persons work on something together with me as we create things. You just see how the whole interaction as a team works. So I'm going to try to create a new team, and we'll see how it works. I'll just import. Okay, I might delete this and just create a new file. So I said that Figma helps us to collaborate, and I've been talking about this collaboration over time. And then for us to be able to do that, remember when we opened this particular guy, it's saying that um, if I want to have other persons work on this same project or this same file with me, I have to add it to a team, which I've not done. So I can either do that from here, either because I have some existing teams, I can simply just add this same file to this team, or I can create a new team from here, basically. But I want to show us, if we're just coming into Figma initially and we're creating a team and a project straight up, how we get that done. So from here, basically on your dashboard, you see something like create new team. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to create a new team, and then I'm going to name it, let's say, Tech Bootcamp C2 UI UX team. So, and then I'm going to create a team. So now it's asking me for collaborators. So these are persons who are going to be working with me on the project. Can I get 2 or 3 persons put their emails in the chat if you're comfortable with that, so I can add you to the team, and then you accept the invite, and then we can collaborate together. Can I have that? All right, thank you. I can see this. See, sorry, put this here. Should be, let's see this. Should see, sorry. Oh my, what's going on? Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. Spanish. Yahoo.com and perhaps 10 at gmail.com. Then I have, okay, and value 1437 gmail.com. Okay, I can add one more person, and hi at gmail.com. Okay, so I have 4 persons who are going to be collaborating with me on this project. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue. Now, so here is where you see what Figma has in terms of payment plans and options. So for a starter, this is just basically for personal use and teams trying out Figma and things like that, which basically we're trying to do. So I'm going to be choosing starter, but then if as a professional, I can choose this, and then you have the options of the payments per month or per year. And if we're using this as an organization, you have that feature or that option as well. So whichever works. So depending on where you are in terms of what you're creating, you can choose any of these options. So I'm going to create a team using the starter option. And then, okay, yeah, so I can see Deborah, other members need to accept the invite and come into the team now. So I can see one person has accepted the invite, is already in the team. I need us to check our emails and accept the invite as well. Are we doing that? Okay, so I can see Balkis. Who else? I mean, look this. Okay, so while the rest of us are accepting the invite and coming in, I can just go on. So you get to see, once you're in, you'll be able to see what we're doing as well. So I'm going to create now, because we have a team now. This is a team project. We've created a team. What I need to do next is, because we're collaborating, so whatever we're trying to do, that file will create us to be inside the project. So now from the right hand corner of my screen, I will create that. You don't need to create that from your end. I'll create that. Okay, so we have a project already. We have a project already. And sorry, I'm going to be creating, I'm clicking on that project now. And then I'm going to be creating a new file. I'm going to be creating a new design file. So when you're coming into Figma, basically, and you're coming into a new project or a team, it creates a design system already for you. Creates a design system. That design system, let me just go back. So that design system just their basic presets of things that you need or work with in your Figma project. So like they're usually like presets. So Figma gives you a design system that you can always work your way around or edit. So these are like libraries, things, colors, and things that you need. I think Alima talked on this during one of our sessions. Design system, things that you elements, your text, your buttons, and things like that. So you just have all of these presets there as well. So these are things that we usually get to create to make room for consistency in our projects as we're working. So back to our Figma team. Now I've created a new file. Now I'm opening that file. So we're now back to the interface we have seen before. I'll need us to access the file as well. So this is one thing you see. You can see my avatar on this side of the screen. As other members of the team come in as well, they are going to see, you're going to be able to see their avatar. They're going to be able to see my cursor. Yes, I can see one person, I see Balkis. So as other persons come in, you see their avatar and they can see so you can see I'm seeing Balkis and cursor. She can see mine definitely on her screen as well. That is how it works. So you can see Balkis here. And then if any other person comes in, you'll be able to see all of us. All of us will be able to see one another as we work on this. All right, so now that we are here, yes, I can see, yes, Mrs. Babajide as well. All right, now, so we have a blank screen. Now, we're going to try to create something simple into this. This thing we're short of time.
Faith, are you there? Faith? Is everybody still here?
Yeah, you
Yes,
sound
but we can't
quiet.
hear him.
Okay, I think it's dropped out. How are we finding it so far? Whilst we're waiting for him to come back, we will need to design something. I hope you have a product in mind though. It's interesting, isn't it? I can't wait to put something together. Thanks, Lola. She said informative, interesting from Debbie. Fantastic. So I can still see his screen, but he's not on Zoom. Thank you. Excellent session. In fact, do you know I use Figma? But the way he explained all the menus and everything, I'm self-taught, you see. It kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, wow, it makes it look so simple. So I'm looking forward to, as he was showing us, I actually placed my image in one of the tables and it's like, wow, okay, we can do this. We can do this. Let me just send him a message. Bear with me 1 second to find out.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you. And I saw initially when I registered, it's not a 30 days trial thing, is it? This
No.
Okay.
In fact, I'm on a free one and I've been on it forever.
Okay. All right,
I haven't been asked to pay. I think it depends
Okay.
on, you're limited as per maybe how many people you can invite and all of that. Other than that,
Yes.
I've not paid for Figma, which is really good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah,
Faith,
I'm
are
glad
you
I'm
back?
back.
Oh, so I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes,
Can
I'm back.
you just type that in the box so that I can snap it and share
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, good feedback.
Yes, I'm very
I'm so
happy.
sorry for the break in transmission.
No problem. We were just catching up.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
I told Sister Falake that your Figma is free. He has been free for me. Is
Yes.
that a correct assumption, right?
Yes. So as long as you're using the free version, it's free, except there are policy changes. But if you're using the free version, it's free for forever. So yes.
Okay. Just
Except
want to
with
make
just
sure.
a little bit of restriction.
Yeah, as to what you
Yes.
can or cannot do. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
So yes. Ma'am, I'm trying to share.
Oh
my
yeah. I
screen,
need
but-
to make you co-host. Rosie has a question. Please go ahead whilst we're sorting ourselves out. Ask away.
Yes. Okay, you can ask
Rosie?
the question.
So I've made you co-host, Faith, so you can start to share your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's.
Rosie, you raised your hand up. Do you want to speak? Oh, she's dropped out as well. Oh, hey, hell. I'm sure she'll be back in. Let's crack on. And I want you to touch on the assignments.
Okay.
And you know, we've got like 11 minutes left and I have to start the data team.
Yes.
I don't want us to have a situation like last week that we were having to shut people down in the middle of the session. So I think it's important to explain the assignments. So on the dot of 2, they were knocking on the door like, we're ready to come in.
Okay, Ma. Could you make my other device coast, Ma? This
Oh, okay.
this is my phone. Okay.
That one. Have I done both now?
All right. Thank you, Ma. Okay, sure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, back to figma. So I'm so sorry for the breaking transmission. All right. So I'm reloading that file that we created, and I'm just going to go through something quickly. Okay, so I was talking about low fidelity wireframes and high fidelity wireframes, and we're just going to work on the low fidelity wireframe. Quickly, I'll just show us a quick example with the tools that I've explained earlier. So I said that if we are creating, for instance, for a mobile device, we're creating product for a mobile device, and we have all of these presets, and we can simply just choose one. So I'll choose the first one here, which is the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And I'm going to create 2 frames basically. And so obviously, let me use a Facebook app, for instance. Once you launch your Facebook app, there's something called a splash screen. What the splash screen does is, or what the splash screen is that first screen you see that shows you the Facebook logo and something, maybe a caption under or something, or what Facebook does. So, or if it's your WhatsApp, for instance, you just see the WhatsApp logo and it's going to show you WhatsApp by Facebook. That simple screen is what the first thing we're going to do. But remember, I said that this is going to be a low fidelity wireframe, something that is basically a sketch. So, and how do we go about that? So, because we're not adding flesh to it yet, it's just going to be a simple sketch. And now we do that is something like this. Now, since I've created that first frame, I can then come to my shape tools here, the docker for my shape tool, and I choose ellipse. And then I'm sure others can see my screen as I'm working. Yes, now I'm creating that. And I'd say maybe we're creating this project, something by, by FeedTech. I just had that. If you can see my screen, I hope you can see my screen, please. So, like I said, it's a splash screen. And so one of the other things I also want us to note as we go on, which is very important, is as we're creating frames in our design, it is essential that we name those frames properly. So for ease. So you're trying to go back to something that you've done, you'll be able to locate it properly. So I'm going to rename this by, I can simply just come here and double click and rename, or I can come to my layer panel here where I have the frame and right click on the layer of the frame and do something like rename or Control R. So I'll name this splash screen. So this helps me to be able to come back to it or locate it anytime I'm looking for it. One more thing I'm going to do as well quickly is I'm going to add, because so I'm going to do something like logo. Now here I can increase the size of this and say something like 48 and then do maybe bold. That is not too much. And then for my splash screen, I think that is okay. Maybe here I can add some bit to it, maybe 14, and then make sure that it is aligned. Now, remember I said that as we're working, some of the things that we're doing, like some of the tools that we're using, the properties of them will be showing here. So if I want to align what I've done here, I simply select on it, and then I can use my alignment tool. So align to left, align to center, align to the right, align to top, align vertical center and all of that. So I'll just simply align to horizontal center. So that is properly aligned. Now I have a simple sketch of my splash screen. This is how simple all of these things can be. Now I simply come back here again. I create a new frame this time around, and then I have it. I can always drag them around to position them properly. Or one other thing I can do if I'm not creating a new frame like that is I can simply duplicate this. And one of the ways by which you duplicate, you can do Control D. By Control D, you simply just duplicate. See, it says duplicate selection. Now, but then it's created an instance of the same thing. Now, I want to delete all what I have here. I delete that, and I can rename this screen again. I'll probably just name it quickly I'll name it, let me name it, maybe sign up. Yeah, sign up. So it's going to be our sign up page. And we're going to do a simple, simple wireframe of a sign up page. Now, typically what we have of sign up pages can be stuff like, we have frames. Sorry. Our shapes. Basically, I'm sure you're familiar with fields that we have for our sign up page. So basically, when you're signing up for a platform or an application, they basically ask you stuff like maybe your name, you put in your username, your email, and maybe some ask for phone numbers or stuff, and then your password. So we're going to try to set up that field, for instance. So I'll do something like 50 of this, and yeah, this seems to be okay. Then since it's still a low fidelity wireframe, I duplicate this selection as well. I duplicated that. I simply drag it. I duplicate. Now Figma has something. If you've performed an action once and you're duplicating it, it registers what you've done the first time and helps you to duplicate it back. So I do duplicate. So I have this. So I'm quickly coming to do, say, sign up. Sign up. I edit that now. Sorry, we're in a bit of a rush, but these are things that if we go ahead and check, we can. So I can do something like, okay, sign up, and then I have a button here that says maybe, sorry. I'm going to just do this quickly. This is sign up, or maybe create account. And then we have that. Your low fidelity wireframe basically just gives you an idea as you're putting up the ideas in your mind, and you've probably put some sketch together in your notes. Your low fidelity wireframe just helps you to add more, makes it a little bit more articulate. I'm trying to just duplicate this on time. This is me duplicating some of the content of things that I've done, and I can easily come back, edit them. So let's say name, and this is going to be username, suggestion for username. For some platforms, you can easily go back and create that and say this is email, and password, and then you have something like that. So this is your low fidelity wireframe is just something. See, there is no beauty to it yet. It's just some structured thing, and then you have something like that. And then maybe I want to do something like, okay, in the background, maybe as an overlay, so to speak. I think Mr. Timmy was showing us something like that last class, just to indicate that there's going to be a picture in the background. There's going to be a picture in the back.
Faith,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we stop here and you can talk about the assignment? We've got
yes, I'm going to
2 minutes more for the next guys.
I'm going to do that now.
Okay. Apologies. I think, you've done the overview. You've shown us the what do you call the menu bars and all of that. Let's have a play with that. And then we'll become familiar with all those things. Then next session, we can now take this further. Because what I would like is for people to actually follow as you're doing. So what you've done now, this is great.
Yes. All right, ma'am. So okay, so what we've done so far and some of the explanations I've been able to make, I hope you've been able to see that this is not really some rocket science kind of thing. There are things that you can easily just relate with. I've just been able to create all of this that I've done so far is just use text and shape to create something. And I'm sure you can start forming pictures of what the eventual outcome might really, look like. So I think what I'm going to have us do now is that we should go back, think of just any product, as it were, any product, maybe original or something. or maybe I should just give us a direct thing. So we all use, okay, I think we're familiar with Telegram. Yes, we're familiar with Telegram. It's one of the groups that we have. So with what we've learned so far, with the picture of what we've been able to create so far, can we go back now, everyone, just log into your Figma dashboard and then create a new file. This time around, not in these team projects that we're using, not inside this team project, but you create a new file and create, a simple low fidelity wireframe of, Telegram. Just play around it. This is not, we're not trying to see who's perfect with it yet, but then we're just trying to see how well we've been able to relate with the tool. So the assignment will be that I'm still going to drop it on the Telegram group after the class now. So a simple, low fidelity wireframe of Telegram. You might decide to, want to add your own bit of creativity or what you think Telegram should look like. But then a simple, low fidelity wireframe, something like what I'm trying to create right now of Telegram. So you have access to the way Telegram, you can use that, as you're working, be looking at that and then create something. So I hope you got that. Or anybody has a question about that? Is this something we can do?
Yes, we give
anybody?
it a try.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'll give it a try.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for attending today's class. We have to stop here for want of time, obviously. So by next class, we'll get or we'll dive deeper into some of the things. And if you have any challenge along the way, you can always just reach out on the Telegram group or the forum as well. So thank you so much. I'll hand over to Ms. Babajide now to end the session.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. I think that was really, really amazing. And thank you, Alimat and Timmy. You were responding to chats and making sure everybody's comfortable. So is massive thank you all around to Timmy Tokwe and everybody, Debbie, Balkis, and stuff like that, for even showing up. That is a big step. It's a gray area for a lot of us, and we still stayed tuned and gave it a shot. So well done. Next week, we'll continue from here. What I would also like to suggest is let's make the Telegram group interactive. If you have anything or you practice something and you don't understand it, do the screenshot, dump it there. We're straight onto it. So don't let's wait till next week when we meet. We can even have a fire chat, a very quick one, if you need us to do that. Let's not wait till next week. Next week is a long time. And believe it or not, we've got only 3 more contacts now. So let's make use of it. In fact, blow our mind away, design something that you can even present. Who says you can't do it? Yeah. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. That's a challenge right there. Blow our mind away, surprise us, do something like, okay, BB Tech, here you go, in your face. I've done this design. Boom.
Yes.